Nikki Bell here again. So now that you've watched the entire home buying process video and you have a good understanding of that, this video is going to be all about exactly what we're going to be putting in your offer. So that way you understand what is in this really important binding agreement. So at the very top of the contract, the first thing you're going to see are the names of the borrowers. So that's you and your spouse or your partner or whoever else is going to be on the loan. So that's pretty self-explanatory along with the property information. Next, you're going to see the full purchase price and how much we're going to offer them, followed by the earnest money amount and the leftover financing amount. First, let's talk quickly about the purchase price, which is line number 1. That is the obvious purchase price, how much you're going to be purchasing the property for. Buyers sometimes believe that this is the most important number, but that's not always the case. Sometimes sellers are more looking for a faster close or other terms in the negotiation that we can tailor our offer to have our offer accepted over others. So next up is the earnest money. Earnest money shows the seller how serious you are as a buyer about that property. Commonly, I've seen 1% of the purchase price as the earnest money, and in the state of Arizona, you can get this money back as long as you retract your offer within the set amount of days within the due diligence period, which I'll get into later. So that's also negotiable if your offer gets accepted. You as the buyer will be submitting your earnest money deposit with the title company, not to the seller. So it goes to a third-party title company. They'll be holding it and we'll discuss instructions with you for that step. So you have 3 days to deposit that after our contract has been accepted. So this is the money that you need to have on hand to make your offer. And the more you offer with your earnest money, the more your offer will stand out. So that's just something to keep in mind. Then line number 12 and 13 will be how much money you'll be putting as a down payment. Then the remainder will be the financed amount. So usually the easiest way to pay the earnest money deposit to the title company is in the form of a wire transfer. So that'll be line 17. If you do prefer a personal check, if you're local in the area and you can drop it off, then you can feel free to do that as well. So next up is section 1D is the close of escrow date. So this is the date that you'll want to close. Again, sometimes sellers aren't always looking for a fast close. Sometimes they're looking for a delayed close or closing far out in the future. So it all depends really on what the seller wants in order to tailor our offer to their needs so we can get our offer accepted, of course. So on page 2 out of 10 of the purchase contract in section 1G, there's going to be the fixtures and personal property. This shows what property you would like to convey with the sale or what pieces of property you don't want. So anything that's a fixed part of the home will convey. Otherwise, things like the fridge, the microwave, we would have to check that off to see if that's something you would like to convey with the sale. Or sometimes sellers are wanting to include all of the furniture with the sale of their home, so we can include that in this section as well. So next on page 3, I want to point out in section 2J, those are the seller concessions. So that tells the seller, hey, we want you to pay like this much of our closing costs. Again, everything in real estate is negotiable. However, we will want to stay in line with what is happening in the current market, of course, and I will always advise you on that. So when we are drafting up an offer, we can place ourselves in the shoes of the seller. Like sometimes we don't want to ask for too much and be super unreasonable. We just always want to keep in mind what the seller wants. And that's something that I will figure out before we place our offer so we can discuss all of this together as well. So moving on to section 2M, there is an appraisal cost and that will normally be paid for by the seller. That's just standard procedure here in Arizona. So scroll down just a little bit further to section 3. This is the title and escrow that shows who will be handling the title portion of the transaction, which is a choice of the buyer. However, sometimes sellers have already opened early escrow with a certain company, or that's something that they don't want to budge on in the contract, then we will just use theirs if that's not super important to you to use ours. Again, this is all about tailoring our offer to fit the seller's needs so that we can really get this offer accepted and everybody wins. So title and escrow is who you'll be maintaining contact with throughout the process as well, to hand over the earnest money, to schedule closing or the mobile notary with, and things like that. So let's just take a really quick break to talk about inspections I commonly see and that I recommend. So it also depends on your type of financing you're getting, and your lender will sometimes require specific inspections, but I suggest having a general home inspection, of course, a pest inspection, and a sewer scope for older homes. Just keep in mind a roof inspection may be important as well, since that's a major cost to repair or replace. And you may also need more time for contractors to come through and walk the property and let you know how much it will be to rehab. So we may need a reasonable amount of time for those. Generally, we would ask for 10 days. 10 days would be a fair amount of time to get the pest and the sewer scope done. If you do want more inspections, then we may need to give you a little bit more time to pay for the report, get the inspector out there, and then get the report back and decide on what steps you're going to take to move forward. So I would maybe suggest increasing the due diligence period from the recommended 10 days to maybe something a little bit higher. So let's go ahead and scroll down to page 7. And at the top is the home warranty plan section. So this tells the seller whether you'll request a home warranty from them to be paid for by them, or if we will pay for our own, or if we will decline it altogether. So if we do decline, it doesn't mean that you can't get a home warranty. It's super simple to get one, and I recommend some home warranty companies. I can recommend some for you, and you can purchase one on your own. But if you would like the seller to provide one, then this is where we would state that. And we can say at a cost not to exceed a certain amount. So a typical home warranty will cost between $600 and $750 for 1 year. And then the price after that will typically increase year after year. So keep in mind that if we choose to say yes, that we do want to request a home warranty from the seller, they may view that as something that takes away a little bit from the value of our offer and makes it seem like maybe it's not such a clean offer. So just little things to keep in mind. But let's take the time to just quickly talk about what the home warranty even is, okay? So the home warranty covers what I like to call PEACH. So that's the acronym for coverage included in a home warranty. So P is for plumbing, E is for electrical, A is for appliances, C is for cooling, and H is for heating. So a standard procedure, in case you've never dealt with a home warranty company before, is you would buy the home warranty for a year, and then you would re-up year after that if you choose to do so. So should something happen, say your cooling goes out during any time of the year, you can call the company, and they typically have a $75 to $125 service call just for them to come out to the property. That's like no matter what. So you can pay that amount for them to come out. Then they'll diagnose what happened with any part of the covered systems. And sometimes they'll say it's covered, sometimes it's not covered. So just because you buy the home warranty does not mean everything will be covered. So just want you to be really aware of that. People have good and bad experiences with some of the home warranties, but for the cost of $75, some people are able to save maybe like $3,000 on a new HVAC system because it was just replaced, and then the cooling and heating, or whatever it might be. So again, just be aware that the home warranty sometimes does not cover everything. So it's completely up to you if you would like one or not. So let's go ahead and scroll down even further to page 8. You'll see an an empty sheet that is titled Additional Terms and Conditions on here. So you can write there anything that's outside of the Arizona Standard Purchase Contract, and some other things that you would like to include in your offer, or of something to note to the seller. So then scroll down to page 9, and at the bottom of the page, section 8, line number 437 is where we're going to include the time for the seller to respond. Typically, you can give them 24 to 48 hours, and you'll also be receiving multiple contracts to sign, such as the HOA addendum, which shows HOA information that will be that'll provide a little bit of information about the HOA for the property that you're purchasing, and the pre-qual form and the real estate contract, of course. So there are a lot of contracts to sign, but don't worry, I will help you step by step, guide you through every document, and just make sure that you really understand what you're signing. I will not let anything fall through the cracks. My team and I will always be here to take care of you, okay? I go above and beyond what other agents do, and so does everyone on my team. So I do expect that whenever we submit an offer, that as you're signing, that you're going through the lines, reading through the contract, asking me any questions that do come up, because I always want to make sure that you feel really comfortable with submitting this offer, that you're fully on board again, and that if I were to tell you tomorrow or the next day, or that same day perhaps, that your offer is accepted, that you don't want to back out, because that's the last thing I want to do. You know, I've been in a situation where we've placed the offer and I've had to back out, and I've already built rapport with the seller's agent and buttered them up and let them know that you're excited about the property and that you're pre-approved and that you're ready to go. And then if I end up backing out, then that really does give me a bad reputation. So I just want to make sure that you and your family are super excited about this property before we submit an offer, and that you are ready to rumble. So, I mean, chances are that we're going to get our offer accepted. So, like, also, if you're an investor, I really want to make sure that you've already run your numbers and make sure that this property is going to work for you. So let's go ahead and take the next steps and get these offers accepted. Again, I will literally do whatever is in my power to make sure that you get the property that you want, and make sure that you fully understand the process and fully understand the documents, and just make sure that you're really, really comfortable with going through this process together. So thank you again for trusting me. I am always here. If you have additional questions, follow-up questions, just go ahead and let me know. I am happy to help at any step of the way. Thank you.